Okay, everyone, I want to talk about something fun this week. Now, do you love, like me, A League of Their Own? I think it's just a wonderful film. It's a baseball movie starring Tom Hanks, Gina Davies, and Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell, and it's probably one of my all-time favourite films. Now, I've been thinking, what would have happened, or who would have been cast if this film had been made at the time? So these women, they're real women at the All-American Baseball League. It actually went on for 10 years. In the film it seemed like it goes on for a shorter time, but it goes on for a fairly long time. And so, alright, so I'm having a bit of a think. Okay, let's have some fun, let's go cast. Now, let's take it seriously. So I'm not going to cast people from every major studio, because this is the studio system, and stars, while they were loaned out, and someone like, say, Cary Grant was freelance, generally speaking, an actor and actress stuck with the studio they were at. So now the film got made by Columbia Pictures, so let's start with Columbia. So Columbia's top two stars, so let's say this is going to be, I'm going to imagine this is at the late 40s. So Columbia's top two stars at the time were Rita Hayworth and Lucille Ball, and I think that would be just the easiest way to cast the main two sisters. Laurie Petty, I missed her out, but anyway, so I think those are the two big names I'm going to pick. Now for the fellow, he might be a bit harder. Like in the 40s, a lot of these guys are a bit wishy-washy because they all look a bit the same. I'm not going to worry about him too much for Columbia. If we can get someone to be loaned out, I would probably pick a Spencer Tracy. That's who I would like. Someone a bit grouchier, probably a Humphrey Bogart, but I don't think they could afford him over at Columbia, but that would be my golden ticket, would be Humphrey Bogart, because I think he would be perfect in the Tom Hanks role. Some of the other ones are a bit harder to cast. I will say that I would like a young Marilyn Monroe, who was sort of bouncing around Fox, but could be possibly loaned out. Columbia often filled their films with stars that were loaned out, so we could have a bit more fun. I'm going to say, I'm going to pop over and get this book. Excuse me. So, The Wrong Kind of Women, which there's a director who directed a film called Dance Girls Dance, and she's one of the few female directors of the golden age. And anyway, I'll put it in later, but she's my pick for director. So it's a bit hard for Columbia, so I think it would have been filled out by contract players, but maybe another key role, someone who's who'd maybe fallen off the radar. I actually think Mae West could have been good in one of the roles. Maybe the Madonna role, or maybe another role that's escaping me at the moment. Or maybe even the Rosie O'Donnell role. That could be like a little bit cast against type. Okay, so that's Columbia. Columbia's a bit difficult because, there's not as many stars there. It was thought of as Poverty Row at the time. Now, let's put it at another studio. Okay, how about Warner Brothers? Over at Warner Brothers, now, hands down, Humphrey Bogart for the Tom Hanks role. No question, Humphrey Bogart, he's the one. Fred MacMurray would be a good one, but anyway, I'm going to stick with Humphrey Bogart. So over at Warner's in the late 40s, now they are getting a bit long in the tooth, but those broad shoulders, I'm actually thinking this is going to be a a Joan Crawford vehicle if it's over at Warner's, and I could definitely see her in either the main or the sister's role. Although the sister is always getting angry, I think I want to do Betty Davis, and wouldn't that be great to have those two in the same film at the same time? Before obviously everything went crazy. It probably wouldn't happen. Joan's friend on the set at Warner's was Barbara Stanwyck, and honestly I think Barbara would be perfect. So Barbara Stanwyck, Joan Crawford and Humphrey Bogart. That's my pick for the main cast. For the lesser ones I might again fill out with loans and contract players. So let's have some fun. The one that I think that would have really been great at is MGM. Now MGM, more stars than the stars in the sky, right? So and you've just got your pick. Now look, there's two ways it could go. It could be a musical or more dramatic. And I think if you lean more towards like how the film was in the 90s, I would love to have in the lead role Katharine Hepburn. My goodness, Katharine Hepburn would have been. Now again, she's a bit long in the tooth, but it would have been a good role for her probably in the 30s. But anyway, so all right, I'm nixing that one. Let's go for my next one, musical. Now, I'll just pop it in here. Judy Garland. It's got to be Judy Garland. Maybe she's back from having a baby, and I'm going to have Vincent Minnelli direct it. So probably going to replace the pirate, and let's put Gene Kelly. I know it seems a bit weird, but he was considered kind of rough and working class. I'm going to put Gene Kelly in the Tom Hanks role. Although probably a Fred Astaire could have been a bit better, but his perception at the time was like top hat, like he was like Mr. Man, whereas I feel like the Tom Hanks role is a bit more working class, so I want Gene Kelly. Now for the women, who is more sisterly of obviously Judy has actual sisters, but Hollywood sister, June Allison. My goodness, those two look so much alike, and I think June Allison would have been perfect for the Laurie Petty role, and Judy Garland for the Gina Davies role, and I think they would have been, just knocked it out of the park. For the Madonna role, definitely got to be Ann Miller. And who else? I would actually like to see Betty Grable be loaned in for there is this sort of blonde lady who's very funny, and I think that could have been very nice for her. Probably now actually Ingrid Bergman would have been good. So scrap. I mean, in the dramatic version, maybe Ingrid Bergman. Could have Ingrid Bergman. Oh, anyway, and then you could have something like anyway, maybe Bing Crosby. Anyway, the choices are endless, but for my main two and for the director, I'm going to say Vincent Minnelli, Judy Garland, and Ann Miller and June Allison, and I think that would have been wonderful. But honestly, so many of these women would have been wonderful in that role, and wouldn't it have been great if it had been made at the time? I'm glad that we got the film that we did, and so the role that there was only like the one African American role. Whatever the studio is, I want a young Dorothy Dandridge So, what do you think? What if A League of Their Own was made at the time as opposed to a period piece? So, and where are the gaps? Who are the people that you would like to see in these roles? You know, maybe, I don't know, maybe Mercedes McCambridge for the role with I'm forgetting, Rosie O'Donnell. What do you think? Sound off in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. And we're almost at 300 subscribers. Oh my goodness! Thank you, everyone, for joining. Mwah.